Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm going to start over because thank you, Tanya, for saying that there was no sound. Here I've talked for a whole 8 minutes, and I apologize, folks. So people, I'll make a note in there that or Tanya could do it. You have to go, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes back. And I've never done that before. I'll start over. Blessings on Tanya for telling me. So I talked about 2 things that are coming up. There's this 80-person massive giveaway with no gimmicks, no sales. I mean, it's just a whole lot of people like me that have come together to offer gifts. Granted, they may give you an offering and then upsell, which is fine, but you still get the freebie, right? Because I'm giving this huge upsell of 2 classes of Energize, which is it's 1 week, but you get 2 classes. So I don't know what everyone else is doing, but I know there are a lot of really cool people because we've all been networking together, which is why we're doing it. So that's coming up. And that's going to start, I think I'll be telling you about it June 16th. So you can mark your calendars to check. It's big. And then the second thing is a little consortium on working with empaths and setting boundaries. And I'll just be a speaker on that. I'll be offering the same tool that first week of Energize because I believe everybody needs the information there. And then tonight I'm talking about money and spirituality. And I'm actually speaking mostly to the people with a spiritual focus or those that are in service, all right? But the principles apply to everybody. They really do. And so money is like, oh my God, money is up there with that list of things nobody talks about, like religion and politics, okay? And money has got more baggage, more friggin' weighty baggage around it than seems possible. And practically everybody has to deal with it. And so consequently, you, me, everybody has been domesticated or trained or early childhood conditioning in one way or another around money. And it's that domestication, it's that conditioning that's going to determine your relationship to money. I mean, think about it. We love it, we hate it, we crave it, we fear it, we spend it, we hoard it, and sometimes we waste it. And most people, this is what I find because I have this problem, right? Most people have these unconscious ceilings that they hit when it comes to money. It's like, how much is safe to make or how much can they handle? So in my case, like I come from a very middle class, upper middle class family, but they always wanted more than they had. And it was, it's just annoying to have to deal with the beliefs and agreements that I developed as a child watching my parents handle money, but we have beliefs around what money means, what it means to be a person with money or without money. We've all got it, right? And so some people also believe that to be in spiritual service, it means that we have to struggle. That is, my personal opinion is that's total bullshit. BS, right? Because our inner worth, our inner truth are not defined by money. They're not. And it's not more noble to be poor and struggling. And it's also not more corrupting to be rich. It's not. So for anyone to, and I'll talk more about that, but for anyone to survive, whether they're in service or not, we have to have our basic needs met. We all do. We need the food, we need water, we need shelter, and we need love or connection. And it's because, there have been studies around people that were raised or grew up like devoid of that love and connection, and the suffering was amazing. And it's really effective, or affects us. And so the first ones, the money, the shelter, the food, and the water, they require, at least in this culture, an exchange of energy. And that trade usually, or that exchange usually comes in the form of little green pieces of paper, rectangles, or colored round plastic chips, if you're gambling. But to get those, you have to use the little green rectangles of paper, to buy them. We're dependent on money. And I'm not talking about all or two there's a lot of alternative communities out there that are practicing and experimenting with working on a trade system, which, it's close to my heart, but I'm not really talking to you guys. As a coach and spiritual teacher, I've actually had people tell me that it was selfish of me and kind of bad that I charge fees. And so I actually thought a lot about this, because I'm like, what, really? And yet they couldn't answer how I was supposed to buy and pay for the gas to get to my clients and the weddings and things I do, or the computer and the internet that I have to have, and the phone to reach out to people and actually help folks. They couldn't answer how I was going to pay for all that, or my food or my lodging or everything else I have to have. They also, this was heartbreaking for me a little bit, truthfully. They also judged me before ever considering how much pro bono work I do, which means I do it for free, or, all the different trades I arranged. And the trades I really, really enjoy doing too, a lot, because, it's really cool, actually. But my question really was, how can anybody heal or counsel or coach or teach if they don't have the tools to actually do it? How do laborers, mothers, lawyers, nurses, cooks, construction workers, and everybody, how do they do their jobs without what they need to do it? And it breaks my heart that there are a lot of people out there in poverty situations where they don't have what they need and they still get up and go anyway. But that is another talk. The truth still is, no one can function well when they don't have their basic needs met. And, it's a truth of our current culture as well, that's usually some form of energy exchange with money. And so in a sense, it is past time for all of us, right, to put our attention on unweaving both our self-absorption, because face it, there's a lot of that going on with money, and as well as any places we have the hiccups or the hitches or the speed humps around money. And again, though, it is not more noble to be poor or more corrupting to be rich. I mean, money is just money. Instead, though, focus on the fact that it is the attitude people hold, and the actions that people take with money that get the labels or earn the labels corrupt or otherwise. Money is just money. It's an inert thing, and the entire globe has placed values on it. But it's the people that are manipulating the thing that earn the good, bad, and otherwise labels that we have. So think about that. Money itself is just inert. It's just friggin' money. It's how you and I and everybody else uses it, holds back on it, gives it, hoards it, whatever we're doing with it. So my question for you to think about, what would happen in your world or your life if you stripped away all of the meaning agreements and assignments that you have given to money? What would happen in your life in your mind, if you totally stripped away all of the meaning assignments that you've given to money? How would that affect your life? How would it affect your attitude? Would you look at a beggar on the street and think differently? If you dropped all the meaning assignments to say they're not working hard, whatever you've got going on, what would happen? And so I want to give you some exercises to support you, me, and everyone to think about this. So grab paper and pen if you can, just so you can take notes. And then what I'd like you to do is kind of close your eyes and just really feel into this, or just even write the points down to consider later, your choice. Okay, so really, what are your beliefs and agreements around money? How safe is money for you? If your eyes are closed, just feeling, what are my agreements and beliefs around it? Imagine having $1 million, billion, bazillion dollars. And the good parts and bad parts about that. Imagine being more poor than you are. A lot more poor than some of us are. What are the beliefs and agreements around that? Where does your ego get engaged? What are you afraid that other people will think about you? Are you afraid money will corrupt you? I had to work with that one. It's just a little money, folks. And with your eyes still closed or making notes and just feeling into this, what does money mean to you? What does it mean? How much is enough to have? How much is too little? I know that I've got a savings account and that's the only thing I monitor pretty much. And if I have to dip into it ever, I just get a panic attack, right? You know, because I've got my ideas of how much is too much, or well, not too much yet, but too little. I've never had too much myself, but I'm still working on that. So how much is enough? How much is too much? How much is too little? And can you actually have your wildest, biggest dreams about money come true? Can you have that? Or are you not good enough? Are you not worthy enough? What is your safe earning limit? Because you got them. We've got these ceilings. What is your safe earning limit? How much is it safe to make? I had a client once that was afraid to make too much money because she felt it would put her in a public spotlight. And she was afraid that if she did, not only would, you know, normal family and friends people start badgering her for money, but she was afraid she'd be targeted by, you know, hostiles, let's say, for getting her money. There are a lot of rich people that are never abducted. Well, go figure, you know, so it's like, really think about it. And my support is, and truly, it'd be fun if you're willing to put some of your ideas around money in the chat, because it's just fun for, and it's helpful for all of us to see some of the areas that we don't even think about, right? So if you think about and are able to and don't mind putting them in the chat, yeah, please do. That would be lovely. And so the truth really is that we have and have heard so much about money, right? We've said it ourselves, we've heard it from other people. Things like it doesn't grow on trees, right? Or cash is king, or money can't buy happiness. One I saw when I was looking it up today said, money invites jealousy. Oh, that speaks to my friend, right? Or my client. Money is bad. And the all-time favorite boogaboo, money is the source of all evil. Yeah, not. I got to tell you, there's a lot more evil out there than money. But anyway, so when I was Googling it today, because I'm really curious about this topic, I tried to find positive things to say about money. And I got to tell you, sadly, it was a lot harder than I thought it would be. So I got a couple of sayings. And one, this will all wind itself up and apply here in a minute. One, Robert Kiyosaki, he said, if you want to be rich, simply serve more people. Oh, and I love that. If you want to be rich, simply serve more people. And I'm focusing on the serve more people. Will Rogers had this bizarre, or not bizarre, that was one I deleted. Will Rogers, he had a famous saying was, Too many people spend money they earned to buy things they don't want to impress people that they don't like. Oh. Too many people spend money they earned to buy things they don't want to impress people that they don't like. I said, right on. I totally hear what you're saying there, guy. Another person, Mike Murdoch, had one that I thought was really true. He said, money is a reward for solving problems. And that, if you think about it, I'm trying to think, is there any case that's not, anywhere that's not the case? A construction group, their problem is they're building a house. They're solving that problem. They're getting a house. Need a house, solve a problem. Dentist, need a, you know, I mean, almost everything, money is a reward for solving problems. I'll have to think about whether that's kind of really bizarre or just so normal I'm ignoring it. But yeah, that was by Mike Murdoch. A woman named Lynn Twist's work has some really good reframes and has some really great positive money and abundance principles on her website. And her website is called this, it's just soulofmoney.org. All right. And some of them were, I like some of these. I don't like them all, but prosperity flows from sufficiency. So that was about the recognition of enough and having enough. Each individual makes a difference. And I love this one. What we appreciate appreciates. What we appreciate appreciates. Another was collaboration generates prosperity. I liked this one too. Our legacy is what we live, not what we leave. And then one that's very close to my heart, because I do gratitude practice many times a day, gratefulness is the heart of generosity. And so the core message of Lynn's work is that money is a current. It's like a carrier or a conduit for our intentions. And that's the important part, for our intentions. And she actually urges each of us to reflect, like I've asked you to do, on our values and intents, and then our checkbooks, you know, and how things are working out between them all or not. Peggy Dillon is another great teacher. She's the founder of Sundoor, the Firewalk training. And she once said, and this is also very good, she says, if you're making more money, all that means is that you're serving more people. That's it. It's not corrupt. You're just able to serve more people. And the people that are making more money giving their service are able also to give that money back. If you think about it, most of them do, because that's where their heart is. The heart of a lot of spiritual people is in service, and that's giving back. And so what I'm finding after I've thought about this all day is that all of this stuff can apply to almost every career out there, you know? And if you think about it, what does service mean? And it, you know, it can apply, you know, it's really towards any people that are working to make life, people, and things better. So counselors, coaches, disability work, recovery work, save the ocean, save the whales. I mean, even some lawyers and bankers, you know, I mean, some of them are just capitalistic people that are insensitive, but not all of them. And so there are a lot of professions and people that or in professions that could be considered as serving others, right? There's a lot. And if we generalize too broadly, then we run the risk of putting like all bankers in the same friggin' pot. Well, you know, come on. I don't want to be lumped with all coaches because I'm different, you know, and all my coaches are different. So, you know, we don't want to do that. And so the thing for people that are in service to understand is that as you embody your work more, you will end up serving more people. And when you do that, there will be more revenue, more income, as long as you at least charge, okay? I know I wasn't charging for a lot for very long, or most still not, but you know, you do have to charge for your services. And remember though, you have to eat as well. And so a lot of people find trades as a really good way to still have an energy exchange instead of money. And I've done a lot of research on this from my course, but they found that there has to be an energy exchange for people to actually value what they're receiving more. And that when you just give it, the people that don't have some form of exchange, whether that's money or trade, that the relationships really suffer. I found that was really interesting, and there, you can look it up. There's scientific studies on that. So because it's like no matter what, things are going to be harder to get or will actually fail unless you clear out all the baggage that you have around what money is and what money isn't. So I'm going to offer a few more. I'm going to go a little over because I didn't have my audio turned on earlier, but let's do some exercises around this. And so you can either make a note of it or you can actually close your eyes and feel into it right now. Whoops. Taking a breath. And imagine, just imagine if your checkbook, your bank account could talk. If your bank account could talk, what would it say about your intentions and values? If your checkbook could talk, what would it say about your intentions and values? So I'll give you some examples to maybe open up your mind about it. Mine was when I did this with myself earlier, was I found that it said, I only spend on what I need. I mean, this is so embarrassing in a sense. Well, it's just me, but I'm a recovering accountant, right? And I'm so sick and tired of doing accounting that I just have this belief that if I only spend what I need, then the universe will take care of me. And I've been doing this for about 40 years, and it has been right so far, pretty much, most of the time. I also saw that I rarely will spend money on what I really want. I mean, unless it's travel, because I love my traveling. And the other thing I found was that I can save really well, but I find, so I encapsulate it, I save well, but I find spending harder. So what, if your checkbook could talk, what is it telling you? Another example, a thing to look at is, what are your beliefs and judgments about money and the rich and poor thing, rich and poor people, okay? Because that is, at least in the United States, but it's prevalent. I'm trying to think because I've been to a lot of countries. It's prevalent everywhere. But what are your beliefs and judgments about money and rich people and poor people? Because if you think about it, as you're feeling into it, if you have a belief that it's like the worst thing on earth to be poor, then one, you're going to be judging a whole lot of people on standards that probably have nothing to do with their actual circumstances. I know that I've been poor once in my life in my 20s, and I was so poor, not by my own fault, that when I would be sobbing when I went to a grocery store, you know, because I couldn't afford to make my partner and I a decent meal. You know, I was that poor at that time. And you know, in contrast, what are your beliefs and judgments about rich people? I know a lot of people with little lump all rich people in one bucket and say they're all, you know, horrible, you know, abusers and this and that. And, you know, anytime we paint everyone with the same brush, it's just wrong. I mean, it's because it's not true. But what are your beliefs? Are rich people more corrupt? Are they bad? Are they selfish and greedy? What are your beliefs? Just writing it down. And how could you start looking at about this whole part. How can you reframe your beliefs? All right. Because I'm going to talk a little bit about later about where we put our attention, energy is going to flow. But, you know, how can you rewrite the beliefs and judgments to be more positive forces in your life? So what if you looked at, an example would be like money is evil. So one reframe of that could be money gives me freedom, or money gives me a little freedom or some freedom. What if you had the belief, and I'm just wild ass guessing here, you come up with your own, but I'm giving you examples. You know, if you have your belief is money is bad, well, then what if you reframe that? Well, money can give me confidence, or money buys the clothes I need that gives me the confidence, or the haircut, or the dental work, or whatever your thing is. If you have a belief that money is only for the rich, what if you change that to be, you know, of course I can earn money, or of course I can manifest money, or of course I can learn the skills to support me in having more. Or the belief that, oh, you know, we've all heard this, money doesn't grow on trees. If you reframe that to be something like, you know, it doesn't have to grow on trees, I just want it growing in my wallet. You know, I feel better just saying that, you know, myself. But this is not about it necessarily making logical sense. It's about emotional sense. And, you know, one thing to keep saying, you know, I'm in control of how I handle my money, you know, because I know that there are people that, I don't know. I mean, I've known people that, you know, what does it say? Burn a hole in your pocket. That was what I grew up hearing. You know, people would just spend because they'd burn a hole in their pocket. And then another really great question to ask yourself is, how are you getting in the way, in your own way, because of your beliefs around money? So how are you getting in your own way because of your beliefs around money? So it can really be as simple as making a commitment to yourself to create attitudes and beliefs around money that don't limit you. So much of what we do limits us, but creating the new beliefs and attitudes around money that don't limit you and that allow you to have the home or the schedule or the food or the life that's actually nurturing you so that you can, as a spiritual person, can serve even more people. Okay, it's a lot. It's very much like the Cherokee legend story of the two wolves, you know, and asking yourself, which wolf are you going to feed? Are you going to feed the lack, the challenge, and the hardship? You can. A lot of people do. Or are you going to feed abundance and ease and fun and laughter and lightness? People want to say it's not their choice. They're fooling themselves and in denial. It is 100% your choice. Which wolf are you going to feed? Because you choose your thoughts all the time. And you've got to remember, when that energy follows our thoughts and our intent. So it's really important to watch what you're thinking, okay? And ask yourself, where do I want to put my energy? Into lack or into abundance? Into lack or into abundance? And so I do know that when we're in the pits, so to speak, it can be really hard to find a light. I also know that there's always something, no matter how small or big, that we can be grateful for. There's always something, and it matters. It really matters. And it is so very incredibly effective to take that little seed of gratitude and let it nurture it and let it bloom to create hope and faith and to keep those alive. You know, I think sometimes of the Holocaust victims that survived that and came out with so much beauty and grace that I could start crying, and I don't want to. But, you know, if they can do it in the face of those kind of horrors, to me, it's a message of how it's possible. It's possible. And yeah, So keeping the faith, keeping the hope, looking at your beliefs and agreements, and remembering that energy follows your thoughts and your intents, and then realize you're choosing which wolf are you going to feed. And then most importantly, dudes, if you're doing spiritual practice, the more people you serve, of course, you're going to have more money, and it's okay. So I'm going to end this now. I'll be able to look at the chat in a little bit, but remember the freebies I mentioned that are going to be coming up. The first is in June 16th. The second or sometime early August. I'll be posting about those. And if you want to find me or reach out, I'm at artistofthespirit.org. So bright blessings to everybody. I'm going to get off the live because there's no way for me to engage in that way, sadly. But yeah, and then I'll start paying attention to the comments. So bless y'all. Vaya con Dios.